Welcome back to You Decide Campground Shakedown. In these short videos, we provide information on campgrounds that we've stayed in particular Thousand Trails. We do other videos as well on other campgrounds, but mostly Thousand Trails because we're Thousand Trails members.
We will be hitting on 8 categories that we find to be the most important for people when they're seeking out campgrounds. So as you hear what we have to say, if you have other tips or other suggestions, please let us know. We'll try to add them to our next video.
We call these campground reviews You Decide because what's important to us as campers might not be important to you. So we just lay out the facts as we see them, provide information, provide photos, and then we'll let you know at the end what we decided. Once we cover the 8 categories, stay to the end because we'll provide some pro tips about the area where the campground is and also the campground itself, just some pro tips. In this video, we are going to also add a little mini review of a different Encore resort because we stayed in 2 Encore resorts in South Texas, but we didn't really feel it was fair to do a full review on the second campground because of the winter storm. We were there literally in our RV for a week.
Right.
So we decided not to do a review, but I am going to tell you a few things about that other resort as well.
The name of the campground that we're going to review today is Tropic Winds RV Resort in Harlingen, Texas.
It has 531 sites, and we were in site TT 442. This is a Thousand Trails campground. It's an Encore collection, and for 14 nights we paid $0. We love that when we don't have to pay anything to stay there. So the first category is the staff helpfulness, friendliness, and the ease of check-in. As it's been for months now with Thousand Trails, and during COVID, everything is done online. So we checked in online, we got an email with our site assignment, and when we drove in, it was a Sunday. There was no staff on duty on Sunday,
right.
So we just went right to our site, put our little ticket that we printed up in the window, and off we went. So it was super easy. All the Thousand Trails people are in one corner of the park, kind of in maybe 4 different rows. And it's very easy to find where you need to go.
Category number 2, the general vibe. Again, the general vibe here was pretty good. As mentioned, we were in a Thousand Trails area, so we had other Thousand Trails members near us. Very good sense of community, even from the residents in the area as they drove by in their golf carts or walked by. Just very friendly people overall. And
Probably
even,
one of the most friendly.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the campgrounds have seasonal and full-time residents, depending on where you are, and a lot of them keep to themselves or they keep with each other, and they don't really include you in conversations and whatnot. And we didn't find that at all with this campground. People were really willing to talk.
Yeah.
They really were some awesome people.
And being with other Thousand Trails members, we were able to share a lot of ideas with regards to memberships and just other things that we're doing as we're traveling.
Yeah, it was a really good experience.
Yep.
Third category is amenities. This park has just about everything. They have pool, hot tub, bocce ball, horseshoes, shuffleboard, pickleball, workout room. They had
a wood shop too.
Yeah, they had a wood shop. Yeah. I don't know if it was open or not. They had a community center. Anything. They also had this really strange sort of raceway that we didn't really understand what that was, but it was for electric. What do you call those things?
Electric cars. Cars.
Little model cars. So we thought that was kind of funny. But it also has a really nice, huge dog park. Biggest dog park that we've seen. It has a little bird watching park. It also has a little like oasis, they call it, where there's some koi in the pond. Hopefully those koi survived the cold temperatures.
Category number 4 is hookups. We had a full 50 amp full hookup, sewer, water. We also had cable, so it was the first place that we had cable hookup. So we took advantage of that, and that worked out pretty well. The odd thing was the cable box was kind of set in the middle, kind of behind us, off to the left.
It was shared by.
It was shared.
So it was a 4-way share.
Yeah.
And also the placement of the electric and sewer was very convenient. It was really close. It was
right
just behind sort of.
Right off the back of the rig.
Super close. So you didn't have to get out your big extension cords for your sewer and your electric to use those boxes. Category 5 is overall cleanliness of the park. This was probably one of the cleanest parks that we've been to. The whole, all the permanent homes there were super tidy. Everyone had their places decorated really cute, and there was no dilapidated units there. There were no old trailers that were sort of abandoned and falling apart. It was just really, really well kept. They had staff cleaning for COVID 4 times a day. The pool was actually closed 4 times a day, as were the other community centers. They were also closed 4 times a day for cleaning. So everything was just spotless at this park. I don't think I ever saw a piece of garbage flying around. So.
Yeah. Category number 6, condition and placement of the site. So these sites were plenty big for a 39-foot rig such as ours, even bigger as we had other neighbors that had larger rigs than what we had. Very well placed, very well spaced. We had a lot of room between us and again between the people behind us and again kitty corner to us. The one thing is in Texas, as we found out, are fire ants. So we had a few fire ant mounds around that were active. We went to Home Depot and got some mound killer and we promptly applied that to those mounds. And
yeah, it was a Sunday when we arrived, and so there wasn't anybody to help us. I'm guessing the park, had we talked to the park about it, they probably would have taken care of it right away, but we didn't want to mess with it. We have a dog, and we just wanted
him gone.
One of those ants gone. Our neighbor got bit by several on his site, so just know that it's a Texas thing, I think.
Yeah.
They're just there, and you got to watch out for them.
And the other thing with the sites is they're not angled, so it is kind of a sharp turn coming in, but there was enough room on the other side of the road where I wasn't really obstructed by another vehicle or anything like that. So while a tough angle to come in at, and we managed with some help from some friends, it is pretty ample to get through there. And they actually kind of look like a pull-through, but they're not, because certainly you have somebody directly behind you can't get in to that area.
Yeah, it looks like a big long pull through, and it'd be great if it was, but there's two rigs on each site, and so you park at this park. You park on the grass. You put your RV on the grass, and you put your car on the cement pad. We actually chose to park our car a little bit farther away. They have sort of an overflow lot, and we chose to park our car there so that we could use our patio for a patio. We could use, put our chairs out and stuff like that. Otherwise, it was pretty tight. If you put your big Ram 3500 on that piece of cement, you're not going to have a lot of room left for your chairs and whatnot.
Category number 7 is connectivity. So connectivity to the outside world. I work full time yet, so it's important for me to make sure that we had good Verizon connection. That's what we use. We had no problem with the equipment that I needed. We had no problem with streaming our Netflix and other services that we had. So it was all good there.
Yep, no problem. Okay, category number 8 is location. This campground is located in the Rio Grande Valley in South Texas, as are many of the Encore resorts in Texas. They're all sort of within maybe 20, 30 miles of each other. Why did we choose this one? I'm not sure. I can't remember. I think I just read reviews about Tropic Winds. There was a few that got really good reviews on the Thousand Trails site and on other sites. So I chose Tropic Winds, and we got really lucky. We really enjoyed it.
I think the other thing too is we weren't near a highway, so we didn't have any really highway noise to speak of. There was an airport nearby, and so you heard planes take off once in a while, but it was probably a mile away, so it wasn't. And it wasn't a busy airport, so it wasn't like going on and off all the time. Right, and we have a drone, which we couldn't use because we were too close to the airport. So we had to go to South Padre to use our drone. Right. The good news is that South Padre Island and Boca Chica, where SpaceX is only about a 45-minute to an hour drive. And so we did go out to South Padre a couple of times. And we went to Boca Chica and saw SpaceX. Yeah, and if you haven't seen that video, we'll link it here. There are a few parks to go and be in the outdoors, and there's plenty of shops and big box stores and anything that you need supplies wise, and really close to the Mexican border. So if you want to go down to Mexico and enjoy that, we didn't have the time when we were here. So right, and we also have a dog, so we didn't want to cross the border with a dog. So we didn't do that. I've been to Mexico before. We've both been to Mexico before, so that wasn't a new thing for us that we really wanted to do. So before we get into the pro tips, I want to talk just a little bit about Sunshine RV Resort, which is also in Harlingen, just 2 to 3 miles down the road from Tropic Winds. We're not going to do a full review on that park because, as I said earlier, we were stuck inside of our RV for over a week, and we just didn't get out. The weather was just not that great. We didn't get out.
That park is divided into two sections. There's a lakeside section and a big main section. We were in the lakeside section, which we would highly recommend if you are in Thousand Trails. That's where they put a lot of Thousand Trails people. It just feels a little
more
bit
populated.
cozier.
Yeah,
it feels a little cozier. The other part of the park is very big and
open.
It wasn't very crowded.
Yeah, there was not a lot of people there.
The full-time sites there, just not quite as nice as Tropic Winds. There were a few shabby shacks on that side, a few sort of abandoned trailers. I'm not sure why it was so different.
Yeah.
It just was different. It just had a different vibe. For us, it comes down to vibe sometimes
right.
too. There's also in the lakeside part of Sunshine RV, there's a nice little pond there and the
pool.
Birds, and the pool, a small hot tub, workout room, stuff
right.
like that. And the birds come in at night and roost. They have lots of exotic birds down here in South Texas. So from that standpoint, it was nice. And you can piggyback. You can go to Tropic Winds and Sunshine. You're only 3 miles away,
right.
and you can end up staying for 5 to 6 weeks here without really having to move very far. So that's a bonus. But there are some other encore resorts down here that people talk about that are very popular, like
right.
Victoria Palms, and that's supposed to be really nice. So Sunshine RV for us would be a one and done.
Probably, yeah. We'd probably check out some of the other ones for sure.
Tropic Winds, definitely. We would go back there for sure.
Pro tip number 1, if you're a bird watcher, the Rio Grande Valley has a lot to offer. As we mentioned in the park that we were at, there was a lot of exotic birds, but just 20 miles down the road was Brownsville. And in Oliveria Park, there are parrots that come in at sunset, and not just a couple, flocks of parrots that come in.
Yeah.
So we went down there with some friends.
Show you a little video of that.
Yeah, we were able to see those come in. A lot of noise that they make, but it was fun to watch them. So definitely a lot of things to do if you're an exotic bird watcher.
Yeah, bring your camera and bring your binoculars
and your bird book.
Yeah, and your bird books. Pro tip number 2, if you are a beach person, then South Texas, you've come to the right place. South Padre Island and Boca Chica are both beautiful beaches, miles and miles. South Padre has all different ways that you can get to the beach. You can drive on, you can walk
right.
on. There's a huge RV park right on the tip of South Padre Island, so there's tons to offer.
Tip number 3, the winds.
It's freaking windy down here.
The winds in Texas are constant. They're strong. Something that we really weren't prepared for.
We had no idea.
And for me, it mainly came down to I love to grill outside. I've got my Blackstone out there. And it's hard to grill in the wind, particularly with a grill like the Blackstone. So it made it a little bit challenging.
By the way, it's hard to drive in the winds.
It's hard to drive in the winds when you're pulling a 40-foot rig. That makes things a little stressful. But nonetheless, it's just, like I said, it was something that we weren't really aware of. But every day, there's been a pretty good blow here.
It's very windy.
To wrap up the campground shakedown, the reason we stayed down here at this particular part is because it was in Texas and it's winter. So we wanted to come down where it was warm.
And be near the beach. Also, this was part of our Thousand Trails membership, so we got to stay for free. And the question is, what would we decide? We already said a little bit earlier that if we're down in this area, we would definitely stay at Tropic Winds again. It's hard because there's so many other choices as well. I think there's 15. I don't even know how many there are. There's a lot down here to choose from. So to come back to the same place, a lot of people do. They come back to the ones that they like. But I think before we would stay at Tropic Winds, we might try another encore resort and then make our decision. We can't really base it based off one visit down here. So,
but it was definitely enjoyable.
Yeah. So if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe and ring the little notification bell so you know when we have new content. And we'll see you down the road sometime.